Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Oh my God, I am so excited to be here, and I'm not going to sound like a teenage kid. Oh my God. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are joining me live, of course, I want you to write in live, say hello. I'm watching the comments as we speak. Just going to wait a couple of minutes because I know a couple of people want to join live. So bear with me, bear with me. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. This is part 1 of the How to Quit Emotional Eating to Lose Weight Effortlessly at any age, regardless of who you are, how old you are, your experience with weight loss or diets, whatever it is, whatever shit is getting in your way, we're going to stop it today. Okay, I'm super excited to be here. Please, please, please come in, comment, let me know if you're watching, let me know if you're on replay. This is what you can expect from me today. Okay, so I'm going to go through with you 3 steps over 3 days, and today is the main step, or the first step, should I say. So what you can expect from me today is a shit ton of content, a shit ton of stuff that works for my clients, that works for practice clients way before my clients, and works for me, works for my partner as well. So much information that actually works, that's applicable, and it's completely all for free. Now, there is an available resource to go with every single day. So if you would like the resource for today, that's if you would like today's resource, I want you to type in the chat resource. So I will show you in a moment what it is. I'm going to go through on Zoom with you. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is and how you can get it by just simply saying resource in the comments below. Sorry, I'm a little bit sidetracked at the moment. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So just going to wait 1 more minute. And I want to know if you're watching. If you're watching, put in the comments, say hi, please. I want to know who is there, if anyone is there, if I'm talking to myself. If you're watching, type in live, say hi. I'm watching the comments live. So if you have any questions, you can pop them in there. That's the beauty of doing a live workshop, is that you get to ask questions and I get to answer them live, and you don't have to wait ages for a reply from me. Okay, so I want you to pop in the chat right now. If you're watching live, say live. If you're watching replay, type in replay, and I want to know where you're tuning in from. Where are you coming from? Because I've got so many people that have registered for this live, and there's so many people in the UK, in New Zealand, in the States. So I kind of want to know where my audience is from. So please, please, please let me know. Okie dokie. So let's go, shall we? Why not? So like I said, you can expect from me today a free resource that accompanies this, this workshop. So all I want you to do is just type in resource in the chat and you'll see that in a minute. And that is going to enable you to work through everything that we are talking about and help apply it to your life. You can make notes on it and it'll make a little bit more sense in a moment. So I want to kind of start by explaining why we don't listen to our bodies. Now, emotional eating is probably the most connected that you are with your body at one time, which is quite sad because ultimately you are very much disconnected from your body. It's why we emotionally eat. But the fact is that when you are emotionally eating, you are probably the most connected. Now, it's not your fault, and we are all told and programmed to outsource this information. The fact that our body, why is my phone going off? The fact that our bodies have its own kind of wisdom, we are told to ignore that and outsource that information. For example, we are told that when we should be finished with our food is probably when the plate is completely finished. Right? We are told that when we should eat. We are told how we should eat. So many examples of this is when you're growing up, you're programmed, you are told to believe that you are finished with your food when you finish the plate. You are told, do not waste your food. You are told that it is socially acceptable to drink on every social occasion. How many times have you been pressured into drinking or eating when you didn't want to, or when it was a friend's birthday or a colleague leaving do? I'm sure that's happened. That's definitely happened with me a few times. How many times have you been told not to waste food and leave it on your plate because, oh my God, there is some starving people in the world out there that would love to have your food? Well, yeah, guaranteed there's a lot of people out there in a different position to me and you and I, where they probably don't have the luxury of having a full plate, and that is understandable. But to be told that you are finished when you finish the food because there are other people in the world that are starving doesn't necessarily mean that those starving people are going to be extremely grateful that you overate. They're not, are they? Right? So I want to know, what stories have you been taught or programmed to believe that encourages you to overeat, or encourages you to eat or drink when you're not hungry or when you don't want to? Please pop into the chat anything that you know that you've been brought up to believe. Hey, Jeanette, thanks for joining. What have you been told to believe? Are any of these true for you? I want you to know, and I want you to drop them in the chat. If you're watching this on replay, please feel free to drop it in the chat too. What stories do you know or can you recognize just from the first couple of minutes that is going to actually influence how much you eat? These stories like you can't finish your food until the plate is empty, or you should probably eat, or you should be grateful, or your meal is only done when there's no more food left. These are stories that we tell ourselves, or that we've been told, and we continue to tell them to ourselves and other people around us, maybe even our kids, for example. Now, these are stories, okay? These are just stories that aren't true. They're stories that are not true. They are beliefs and they are thoughts. And the good thing about beliefs and thoughts is that we can change those. So I'll get round to that in a few minutes. Now, there are also some other cues that tell us when we're hungry. So the external cues are seeded pretty much everywhere. They encourage us to think about food when our body wasn't ready to eat. And you'll notice that these begin to override your body's natural intelligence, and they get you amped up for food a lot of the time. So think about smells on the high street. Think about signs or adverts on the high street, or TV or radio. Think about social interactions again. Oh, we're going to go to so-and-so's birthday, or we're going to go to so-and-so's leaving do. I'm going to have to drink then. Maybe it's a time of day. Maybe you wait for lunchtime or breakfast time or dinner time to eat, but actually you're not hungry. So a couple of elements there are external cues and internal stories. And these are kind of pretty much telling us when we are hungry and when we're full. But the problem with this is this really disconnects our own intuition, our own intelligence of when we are actually hungry and we are actually full. And the problem and the issue with this is that we start to grow apart so much so from our own intelligence that we just stop listening to it altogether. And as soon as you stop listening to it altogether, that's when emotional eating comes in, because it just overrides everything. It's like, well, we do this all the time. We overeat all the time. So mentally and physically, your body and your mind are a bit confused all the time, because you're overeating one time, you're overeating the next time, maybe you're starving yourself another time. And so your body and mind are like, well, I don't know when I should be eating and when I should be stopping. So when you're emotionally eating, it's really difficult to tune into the cues of your body saying, I don't need food, I don't want food. Okay, so it's really important to listen to your hunger and your fullness cues. So let's talk about the first part in this session, which is when to eat. Emotional eating completely overrides your body's main cues for when to actually eat. So the secret here is that there is no perfect time to eat. Okay, all of you fasties, you people who fast all the time, yes, granted, some people say that there is a perfect window, a perfect opportunity to eat. But I'm telling you there isn't. And I'm telling you this way, you're not sitting through painful, long times. You're not waiting to break your fast. You're not waiting forever until you can eat. I'm telling you that you can eat when you're hungry. And how incredible is that? Like, to lose weight, to stop emotional eating, I want you to eat when you're hungry. Okay. Now, the secret here is that there is no perfect time and only your body can tell you when it's hungry. So here is where the first resource is going to come in handy. Okay. I'm just going to share my current screen. This is, guys, this is the resource that you can have. So if you want this resource, which we're going to work along a little bit later, so you can see that we've got a lot to cover today. If you want this free resource, please drop in the comments the word resource and I'll get it to you straight after the live, okay? And if you're watching on replay, I'll get it to you after, as soon as I get your message, and then I'll send it straight through to you. So if you want this to have as your own copy, you can label it, you can make notes on it, you can keep it, you can download it. Let me know, just type in resource into the chat and I'll send it through to you. So let's talk about hunger, okay? So there are internal cues and external cues, as we have kind of already begun to learn. Sorry, I've got like 4 screens on I've got like 4 tabs on my screen. I'm kind of going back and forth. I know you can only see one screen. I don't know, guys, can you actually see me? Like, I don't care if you can't, but can you actually see me? I really don't know if you can see me as well. I think you can see me. Not that you want to, but I just want to make sure that I'm not like waving my hands around to everyone. Cool. Okay. Oh, now, okay. Yeah, now I've got your comments. For some reason, they weren't coming up. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Sheila. Hey, Tanya. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry, I've only just realized your chat. For some reason, it wasn't coming up earlier. Awesome, guys. There's the written resource there. I will get that through to you. Thank you so much for joining. I thought I was talking to myself. Okay, so stop talking, Bianca. Right, so hunger, we've got internal and external cues, okay? Like I said, external cues is walking down the high street and smelling food. It is watching TV and seeing someone pull up a slice of pizza with the cheese dripping. It's all artificial, guys. It's all fake. I was watching TV yesterday and I noticed that there was a crisp advert. So anyone who's in the States, I'm talking like potato chips, there was a crisp advert. And the packet of crisps was a typical British brand called Wotsits. I don't know if anyone knows Wotsits, but literally the packet that he put his hand to was like animation. And I noticed, because I'm weird like this, and I notice a lot of like food related things. When food adverts come on, I like to watch to see kind of the advertising element and just to see how they are displaying their food and how they market their food, because it kind of helps me understand the brains and what's going on in my clients. Anyway, I noticed that the packets were artificial. Now, I accidentally ended up in a photo shoot with a pizza once. This was way beyond before I was vegan. And they ended up putting the picture on the ski lift rail. And I sat down one day and I didn't even know this was happening, right? I sat down, the ski lift rail came down, and there's a little picture of my face with a piece of pizza. But everything is enhanced, right? I pulled the pizza and they were like, right, okay, I want you to angle the pizza slightly up. I want you to hold it up with your hand. I want you to smile. I want you to lean in, a little bit left, a little bit right. So if you think of like a normal photo shoot, that's the same with food. And a lot of it is fake. A lot of it isn't even real, okay? So there are a lot of signs and foods and adverts and smells out there that artificially creates this sense of hunger. Now, you're not listening to your body, you're listening to external cues. Maybe if you go into a restaurant, the noise of the cutlery and the noise of like resetting tables and the noise of the restaurant. That would be a cue. Other cues that you've got are allocated lunch and break times. So these are telling you, you are hungry now. This is when you need to eat, okay? Social cues, again, maybe it is the office break hour. Maybe, maybe you're going to a colleague's leaving do. Maybe you need to have a glass of bubbles with that. Maybe there's canapes going around and then suddenly, oh, my mouth is watering. Temptations like smell on the high street. Like I said, if you've ever been to London, guys, there's an M&M store. Everyone probably knows M&Ms, they're little sweets. They pump out the smell of chocolate to make you hungry, to entice you in. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole mass of the advertising and food industry, because that's not what we're here for. But if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, let me know. I want you to start honoring your hunger. I want you to start noticing your hunger, okay? Now, the most common symptoms of hunger are hunger pangs, growling or grumbling, there's a gnawing sensation, an empty or hollow feeling, slight queasiness or feeling nausea. There's a weakness or loss of energy, fatigue, trouble concentrating, difficulty making decisions, lightheadedness, slight headache, shakiness, irritability, or crankiness, like that idea of being hangry, right? I want you to notice these are all internal cues. Okay, these are all internal cues. Now, with hunger, we have been told to outsource our hunger, to listen to other reasons. You know, it's lunchtime, it's dinner time, what have you. When it's about time that you actually started listening to your own hunger cues and understood what they feel like, what's the sensation within your body? Okay. Now, if you've been stuck with weight loss before, where losing weight just feels impossible, it's likely that you've been focusing on the diet's principles, the rules and the regulations of a particular diet, right? This is what you can eat, this is what you can't eat, this is when you can eat, this is when you can't eat. Diets take you away from listening to your own body, which naturally doesn't want to keep excess weight on, right? Your body naturally wants to lose fat. It doesn't like to store it, only in particular occasions. And the diets then focus on good and bad foods, foods that are good for you, good foods that are bad for you. If you've been stuck before, ask yourself, when was the last time that you let your body decide when and how much? So when and how much it wants to eat. So for example, my client, Donna Marie, she has tried many different diets and has always stuck within like a specific weight range, right? And that's because she's previously used external factors to determine when to eat. It was lunchtime, so she ate lunchtime. It was breakfast time, so she ate breakfast. It wasn't until a couple of weeks worth of kind of drilling in and figuring out what's going on that the penny dropped. She went, oh my God, I get it now. I don't just notice how hungry I am when I eat. I notice if I am hungry. And now she's making incredible progress. She's listening to her body, which is now allowing her to get unstuck in her weight loss journey. So this is a really, really powerful tool, guys, okay? Really powerful tool. And if you're struggling with this, if this is something that you've tried before or you haven't tried, come and join me for a call. Just message me and say clarity. We'll get on a quick call, right? You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy anything, but I promise to help break down what's going on for you and just give you a little bit of clarity on why things haven't been working. So feel free to DM or comment clarity. We will get on a free call. Okay. Now going back to this hunger, I want to scroll down here. Now this is when I am going to kind of show you exactly what I do and how I work through this with my clients. Just bear with me 1 second. Yeah, cool. I was looking at my notes and there's just a huge blank area where, because I'm terrible, I like to write things down beforehand because I'm not very good at thinking on my feet. Whereas if I write a lot of notes down, I can kind of make sure that I go through it all. And there's a huge blank area for hunger, and I was just like, yeah, you can do this yourself. So this is where we want to look at hunger, guys. Okay, So we've got our kind of bliss point right in the middle, and we've got our red and green zones, okay? So I want you to think of your hunger as a scale, because it's going to be the easiest way to understand what is going on with this, with your hunger and with your scale. Let's just quickly jump on. Tanya, you can see me. Jeanette, resource, beautiful. I'll get the resource to you guys. For those of you who've just tuned in, if you want this is the free resource. Please comment resource underneath and I will send it to you in the DMs after I'm finished. That way you can write your own notes, you can utilize this, you can have it for free, download it, print it off, and use it as much as you want. So hi, Charlie, Cassie, Pri, thank you for joining us. Okay, so this is your hunger scale. I want you to imagine your hunger and your fullness. We'll cover fullness in a minute. Your hunger scale is on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, 0 is kind of, we've just eaten. Yeah, we're full, we're fine, we're happy, we're content, probably smiling away like she is on the screen. And then you start working your way up to starving. Okay, so you've got 0, you've got 1. And guys, noticing what each one of these numbers feels like to you is gonna take a while. It's not gonna happen overnight, but you will end up eventually knowing exactly what goes on at each of these stages. And if you guys have this resource, what I want you to do is look up here. I'm pointing to the screen. Bianca, I can't see where your finger's pointing. I want you to look up here and look at this list of hunger cues. Then I want you to kind of drag and drop or rewrite them down into your scale here, okay? And I want you to start noticing what cues your body throws at you to tell you where you are on this scale. Because the more you get to know your cues, and they're not always going to be the same every single day, day in, day out, but the more you get to understand your body, the more you tune in, the more you become aware, the easier this becomes. Okay, so I want you to start at 0. 0 is full. I've just finished my meal. Number 1 is maybe about half an hour after you've eaten. And then ultimately we start getting into the orange zone. This is where we're going to start planning for food. Now, I don't mean when you get to a number 2, that's when you start deciding what you're going to do for the week worth of meal plans. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you just need to know what time you're going to be having your food roughly, what you're having, what water you're having. That's a good point. I probably need a glass of water. I'm so thirsty. If you're having water, and just kind of become aware of when you're eating next. Now we move on to a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Now 5 is in that zone of when we want to start eating. Because as soon as it starts eking up into the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10, that is when we are fridge raiding, right? That is when we get guilty of eating everything in fucking sight. And I have been there, hands up, I've done it. Okay, that's when I get home and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. Maybe it's after the gym, maybe it's after food shopping, maybe we've been out and I'm like, I'm so starving. And I find myself head in the fridge or in the cupboard and I'm just like, what can I eat now? Now, the problem with waiting until you're 9 or 10 is generally 9 times or 10 times out of 10, it's very difficult to eat slowly. Okay, now I will explain why eating slowly is important, but we also end up overeating because we are trying to shovel it in as fast as you can. So if you think about it, you're so hungry. Imagine what happens when you're really hungry and you get a whole meal put in front of you. Straight away, devoured, right? Straight in, gone. You don't give yourself a time to digest, to think about it, or to even eat mindfully. So 9 and 10 is a hangry bitch mode, and I'm just speaking from experience here. 9 and 10, we do not want to get to before we start eating. The bliss point is around the 5, 6, and 7 mark. I'm actually going to change this to red. Okay, so 5, 6, and 7 are where we want to eat. And again, guys, with your hunger scale, I want you to write in here how you feel at this stage. Maybe when you hit about a 5, you feel a slight disconnect. Maybe you feel a slight disconnect between your body and your mind, or maybe the task at hand and your mind. I want you to start labeling and noticing exactly where you are on that hunger scale. And it's going to take some time. Give yourself grace, but you will get there, I promise. Okay, so that is honoring your hunger. Exciting, right? Now, when we're supposed to eat, and that's when we're supposed to eat, right? In that 5, 6, 7 mark. If when we're supposed to eat is actually internally triggered, how do you think how much to eat is measured? How do you know? I'm looking at the comments now, by the way. Hey guys, if you've joined, thank you so much. Karen, hello. Zenya, Natalie, welcome, welcome along. Just to let you know, what you can see on screen, guys, is the free resource. If you want the free resource to label yourself and to keep and download, type in resource into the comments and I will send it to you afterwards. Okay, guys, no one has answered my question. Hopefully you're all typing furiously to answer me. Don't worry. So if when we're supposed to eat is actually internally triggered, how do you think how much to eat is measured? Yep. It's your body. It's your internal cues again. Your body is so incredibly intelligent. And I don't want you thinking, oh my God, she's gone all woo-woo on me. Oh God, we've lost her. We've lost her. We've lost the science Bianca to the woo-woo spiritual Bianca. No. Your body literally is screaming at you. It is screaming in different ways than we know. It doesn't speak words like we do, but it shows in other ways. It shows in irritability. It shows in inflammation. It shows in issues with digestion. It shows in arthritis. It shows in other forms of pain and suffering, right? This is how your body kind of screams and talks to you. So all we've got to do is just listen into that fullness cue as well to understand how much we need to eat. There's not a perfect measurement. Every single time you sit down for a snack or a meal, your perfect amount is going to be different. Okay, so whether you portion your lunches equally like I did my meal prep and I've got 2 lunches in the fridge and I measured them out equally, but I might stop at I might have enough today at a different level to my enough tomorrow. And I'll explain how to work with that. So your body has been screaming at you all along and you've turned your attention away from it. Again, it's not your fault. As we discovered, life has shown that you need to doubt and override yourself. When I used to work in hospitality, guys, I was super hungry for most of my shift, but I couldn't get to food all the time, right? I was always hungry, but I couldn't get to food. And often it would be a bite here, bite there, but then I'd stuff my face with food. I'd feel totally lethargic and I could easily drop straight to the floor in a food coma, right? And this is because I didn't have the understanding of how to listen to my own internal cues. So on the resource, which if you want the free resource, please type in resource. We're going to go down and we're going to look at our fullness cues. So if hunger is how much to eat, your body is telling you, if hunger is telling you when to eat instead of fasting or instead of listening to society when they tell you should eat, fullness is telling you, your body telling you how much you need to eat. So sometimes we have like these plates with the magic portion sizes on. Sometimes we use smaller plates. Sometimes we use smaller boxes or smaller bowls. Sometimes we try and serve ourselves a smaller portion or a bigger portion. But truth be told, only your body when you're eating is going to be able to tell you when you have had enough. Okay. Now, when I talk about fullness, we're not talking about being full. I don't want you to think that being full is normal anymore. When we talk about fullness now, I want you to think about your body having enough. Now, the feelings of enough comes from before the feeling of full. So think of a scale, your fullness, enough is before that. Okay, we are programmed to believe that we have had enough when our plate is full, when there is no food left, or when others have finished eating. But this is just eating beyond your body's needs and its capacities, really. And that ends up forcing your body to eat when it's had enough, which creates a familiarity with that feeling of fullness. Have you ever have you ever thought or felt, oh my God, I just like the feeling of being full? Probably because we've got this huge disconnect between what we should be feeling and what we do feel, okay? And this can confuse ourselves, and this is okay, but this is why you are here, because listening to the fullness cues ultimately is going to stop and discourage emotional eating so much. If you understand when you are full, you are more likely to change the trajectory, the behaviors and the habits that you do that keeps you emotionally eating and stops you from losing weight. That is why this is so important, guys, okay? So I want you to learn how to spot enough. So enough is the new full, right? Orange is the new black. Enough is the new full. The most common signs of reaching enough are food is settling in the stomach, feelings of contentment and and being satisfied. If you know me, you know me. I can't talk. Food might not taste as good as when you first started. So you know when you have that first bite and you're like, oh my God, it's so good. Maybe you don't have the same reaction. And that's when you know you've had enough, right? You don't have any more hunger symptoms. Happiness or you've got a sense of happiness or improved mood. You're not feeling full and no bloating. You're feeling energetic, like you could perhaps go for a walk. Maybe a little bit of sighing or like a long inhale and exhale. You know, when you're eating and you go, that right there is a sign that you've had enough. Okay, not feeling like you need to unbutton your trousers before we get to that stage. That is enough. Okay, now why is enough, right? Why? We have been told to continue eating and continue eating until we physically can't fit any in our belly, right? Like this girl here, she's clearly had so much food, she feels absolutely stuffed. I can assure you I have unbuttoned my trousers at many of points in my life. Not proud of it, but I have. And that's what I used to think as enough. Okay, that's what I used to feel like. I'm stuffed, I'm full. But actually, we want to take a couple of steps back and not get to that stage, because as soon as you get beyond, and let's look at our scale here, 0 to 10, as soon as you get past that 7 or around that 7, that is when you are overeating beyond your body's needs and requirements. And as soon as you start eating beyond your needs and requirements, you end up storing it as fat, which then is much more difficult to burn off than if you were just eating for energy. Okay, it then stores it as fat, and fat is harder for your body to turn into energy than something like straight food, straight carbohydrates, which is your body's preferred energy source. So let's look at your fullness scale. Like hunger, we've got 0 to 10. On fullness, we've got 0 to 10, okay? So 0 is empty, red light, gas light, emergency, I am empty, I am starving, okay? Yes, we need to start eating. Cool. Eating 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we start getting into the 6, 7, and 8. And this again is your bliss point. This is not stuffed, this is enough, okay? Satisfied or enough, 7. 9 and 10 is when you've had too much food, your body is just going to store it as fat, and you are expanding your belly beyond capacity, beyond need, and that is when you are satisfying an emotional need instead. And that right there, eating beyond the 7, practically beyond eating beyond 7, and I'm gonna fill this one up again. As soon as you eat beyond 7, you are not eating for fuel. You are eating for emotional reasons. And that right there is exactly what we're going to get into in day 3, I promise you. We're going to start breaking down the connection between food and emotion. Guys, this is the free resource. If you want the free resource, please type in resource and I will put it in your inbox for you, my dears. Just looking at the messages. Many of us grew up as members of the Clean Plate Club. Tanya, I feel you. I feel you. Honestly, my mum, she used to send me to my bedroom, go and eat. I used to sit on my bed. I used to sit in front of the TV and I would feel full. So I'd come back out and I would say, Mum, I'm done. And she would look at my plate and she would scrape over like 93% of the food. I don't know where 93% comes. A lot of the food. And to one side, she'd say, eat that, and then you're done. So I'd go back to my bedroom. I would eat that food and I would feel sick and full and lethargic. And I would come out and she'd be like, okay. Other things, other stories as well. Tanya, I think you might have missed the first part of the session, but I talked about stories and reasons why we do overeat. But yeah, part of the clean plate club, you are told to finish your plate. Another thing is my mum would say, you're not done until you finished your meat because that's what I paid for, especially if we were out in restaurants. She would tell me that. Okay, so that is your hunger and that is your fullness, okay? Now your job, guys, is to become hyper aware of your hunger levels when you eat and hyper aware of your fullness levels when you eat, okay? Now, this is gonna be an interesting, exciting, and new thing for you to experiment with. It might send you a little bit outside your comfort zone because you're not used to eating when your body requires it. You're used to eating at lunchtime, or you're used to stopping when your lunchbox is empty, or when your dinner plate is empty, or maybe because you feel guilty, so you want to eat all of the food. You're not used to listening to your body. You don't know, there's probably a lot of people here that doesn't necessarily understand what that feels like in their body, the hunger and the fullness. So this is your chance, this is your opportunity to work on that. But all I want you to do is just become hyper aware. This is the first step, guys. If you go beyond this and start forcing yourself into doing other things, your brain is going to go, whoa, 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 whoa. This is too much, too soon. Please leave me alone. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. Okay. Now, I'm not putting you on any diet. I'm not putting you on any pills. I'm not putting you on any shakes or protein shakes. I'm not signing any of you up to any products or any companies. I am not signing you up to a diet. I'm not even signing you up to a plant-based or whole food plant-based diet. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about what to eat, but I'm not asking you to become someone that you don't want to be. I'm asking you to simply listen to your body, because weight loss is so goddamn simple, but we have completely lost touch and we all want a simple pill, a simple shake, a simple method. This is your simple method. If you listen to this, if you apply this, you will get weight loss. And the amazing thing is starting to listen to your hunger and your fullness cues is going to start increasing that awareness between you and your body and your emotions. As soon as you start getting to grips with this, you can eliminate emotional eating. Eliminating emotional eating helps you lose weight, regardless of what age you are, regardless of what abilities you are, okay? Regardless of whether you've got hormone issues, whether you're going through menopause, it is all the same. You can apply this to any part of your life, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, okay? One of my clients, for example, Sheila. Oh, Sheila's watching. Hi, Sheila. One of my clients, Sheila, she thought that she was listening to her hunger cues, right? She ate when she thought she was hungry, but she wasn't losing any weight for a while. And I asked her, Sheila, are you waiting until you feel physically hungry to eat? Oh, No. And it wasn't until then that we discovered that her thoughts and perceptions of what she thought was hungry wasn't actually a physical cue, like like we've discussed today. So if you're waiting until you're hungry, sorry, if you're not waiting until you're hungry, you're technically overeating. If you're eating beyond that 7 out of 10 on your fullness, you're overeating. And this is where, like, unintentional binging or unintentionally overeating actually sits. This is where a lot of it sits. Okay. Now, your homework is to get extra curious about what is happening at every stage in your hunger and in your fullness. Okay. Within the next 24 hours, I want you to notice what feelings, what sensations, what thoughts come up at different stages during the day. Maybe you've got different emotions while you're eating. Maybe you notice that one day you're able to eat up until the 7, but the next day you're not able to eat up until the 7. If that is you, then certainly day 3 is going to come in real handy for you. So stay tuned. I want you to notice all of these things, all of those cues on the hunger and the fullness scale. Guys, this hunger and fullness scale, where is it? Where did it go? You can't see it, can you? Yeah, this. If you want this is a free resource. Put resource in the comments below and I will send it to your DMs. I want you to start labeling these. How do I feel when I am hungry? You know, what sensations am I feeling at 1? What sensations am I feeling at 5? What sensations am I feeling at 10? Now, really, if this is kind of something, if you've been in a cycle of gaining, sorry, I thought something was biting me. If you've been in a cycle of gaining and losing weight or getting stuck within a particular weight range and not being able to budge out of that, that dreaded range, and like that's like, oh, I always fluctuate between X and Y, and you want to break through the barrier, if you want to finally shake off the stubborn weight, keep it off without starving, like I said, without depriving yourself of the foods you love. You can still eat the foods you love. You just need to listen to yourself, right? If this is you, I want you to comment the word clarity for a call with me. You don't have to buy anything. I mentioned this earlier. You don't have to buy anything, but I promise to break down what's going on for you, help you get clarity on why the things you haven't tried, why the things you've tried haven't worked. And if you want to get my help, then brilliant. And if not, I'll give you the next steps. I'll give you the next 3 steps that you need to do to get moving in the right direction based on your past and current experiences. I want to get you losing weight while eating the foods you enjoy. I don't want to throw pills, shakes, magic sprays. Oh my God, a spray, an under the tongue spray was the recent one I heard. I don't want to push these things on you because they are not sustainable for your pocket or for you or for the relationship between your body and food. Guys, this workshop was supposed to take an hour and it's only been 45 minutes. I am on it today, somehow. So I want you to listen to your hunger, listen to your fullness, and just start noting where you feel different sensations. Maybe start noticing, is there a pattern? Do I always feel around 5 or 6 when I start eating? Is that a little bit too late? Maybe when I finish eating, maybe I'm finishing when I'm at like a 9 or a 10. Maybe I have to feel full, or maybe I don't actually stop until I go, oh, I'm so full. What is the verbal cues? What is the physical cues? What are the internal emotional feelings? They are going to be cues as well. When you stop eating and when you start eating, notice what's going on internally and physically. Either way, it's all internally. It's not because the clock told you so. It's not because the TV advert told you so. It's not because you have to go and say goodbye to your colleague and eat canapes. It's not because they told you so either. All right, guys, if you want this resource, comment resource. I know I've said it a lot, resource. But also jump on a clarity call with me, for God's sake. I mean, it's free. I'm giving you an hour of my time for free. Just take it. You don't have to buy anything. I just want to get you moving in the right direction. Cool. How to quit emotional eating and lose weight. Day 1, tick. You guys are on it. Well done. I'm so proud of you all. You are incredible. Let's look through the comments now because I've got plenty of time. Resource. Yeah, Lisa, I'll get you the resource. Sheila, I'll get you the resource. Tanya, I'll get you the resource. Yes, Lisa, resource. Sheila, Tanya, you can see me. That's good. Resource. Jeanette, I'll get you the resource. Yeah, we said hello. Pre. So if anyone's part of the group and has been around for a while, Pri wants to know what my view on intermittent fasting is, and she's been wanting to know my view on intermittent fasting for a very long time. Very good point. And for some reason, I keep kind of brushing over that point with you, don't I, Pri? Okay, intermittent fasting. There is a lot of science that it works. There is a lot of science that it doesn't work. If it works for you and it's within a healthy range, and you are not going any longer than 16 hours and it works for you, do it. If it works for you. If it's impossible, if it's like pushing a boulder uphill, if it means that you feel physically full once you finish because you've only got a certain window to eat, if you get to the food at the start of your fast every single time and you are absolutely starving so much to the point that you stuff your face or that you feel sick, it's not worth it. It really isn't. Intermittent fasting, yes, it has its benefits. Yes, you've got to be careful with not going overboard, with not going too far, i.e. beyond about 16 hours, because that is around about that 16-hour bracket for women is kind of the maximum that you want to go. Otherwise, your body starts to go into a bit of starvation mode, which can end up in a lot of biological kind of imbalances and issues involved there. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, but I definitely don't recommend it if it doesn't work for you. Same with anything. If something is too expensive, like beyond measure, if it is too difficult that you can't stick to it, if it's not sustainable, if it's not enjoyable, it's not going to work, because it's not going to work long term. Just quickly looking at the comments, guys. Zinnia, nothing wrong in listening to your higher self. Absolutely nothing wrong in listening to your higher self. This is the problem, is we have become so far removed from listening to ourselves, listening to our bodies, and so far in tune with everyone else telling us what we should and shouldn't be doing, when we should be eating, when we shouldn't be eating, that we totally have lost track with what our body needs. And ultimately, your body is the main authority over what your body needs. No one else. You shouldn't have that heavy, but sorry, I can't read. You shouldn't feel heavy, but energetic. 100%. That's the point before full. Yes, feeling energetic, not full, not having to unbutton your pants, not having to sigh, not having to go into a food coma like I used to. Tanya, many of us grew up as the clean plate club. Yeah, as I've said, put less on your plate and then put some more if you need to respect your clean plate, but also your body. Oh my goodness, might drop. Zenia, do you want to be my personal assistant? Yes, 100%. This is one of the things that I recommend to my clients as well, is put less on your plate. You can always go back to it. If you've got diet trauma, if you've got diet mentality that's still sticking around, it will feel uncomfortable, it will feel gross, it will feel icky, but that's totally fine, right? If you put less on your plate at first, you give yourself permission and a break to stop. And that way you break up your kind of meal time and it will give you time to tune in. The problem is if you put a whole plate on there, even if you ate the same amount, right? If you ate the same amount of food, but you put half on this plate, sat down, ate it, and then got up and served yourself the second half, you're giving yourself that break, that advert break, right? Where you can get up and think about what's going on. Whereas if you served yourself the same amount on both, chances are you're going to carry on eating until this is completely gone before you go, oh shit, I was supposed to ask myself if I was full. So yeah, absolutely. Put less on your plate. You can always go back for more, 100%. Free. Oh my, now I can see better. Oh, sorry. I don't know what I did, but okay. Tanya, and my mum would say, finish that little bit on the bowl because I don't want to put it back in the fridge. Yes, guilt tripping. Absolutely, absolutely. Like, how many times, guys, have you heard these stories of, I don't want to put this back in the fridge, or that's a waste, or it's a waste of time? Honestly, what is more of a waste? Okay, hear me out. What is more of a waste of time? Putting 2 bites in a tub or in the bin, or spending the next 12 hours to 24 hours plus complaining, guilt tripping, feeling shit, and talking yourself down. If you overeat or eat until your plate is full because you're not till your plate is empty because you're not listening to your body when it's saying it's full, you're only going to waste so much more time, effort, and energy guilt tripping yourself, feeling shit about it, poo-pooing all over yourself, feeling bad, than you would have just throwing those 2 or 3 bites away. Yes, maybe we should make them watch some videos and abandon beliefs. Yes, absolutely. This makes so much sense. I'm glad I'm making sense, Pri. Hello, Sheila. Love the vibes. Thank you. It's like summer vibes, isn't it? I'm actually in my windowsill today and it's like sun's coming in. I can't see anything on the screen. So I'm glad you're loving the vibes. Loving it. You answered me on fasting. Yeah, finally. Hi. I think it is personal for who it works. Zinnia, are you talking about intermittent fasting? I think you are. I think it's personal for who it works. Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, if it works for you and you're not putting yourself too far into starvation mode, if you're controlling how much and how fast you eat after the intermittent fasting, like when you break your fast and you're able to eat healthy foods, you're not able to go overboard, you're not emotionally eating, then it works for you. That's totally fine. But I know I personally would rather eat when I am hungry and not have to starve myself. Don't get me wrong, we've got shift workers here, right? We've got teachers, we've got nurses, we've got full-time mums, full-time workers, hospitality staff. Some of you guys might not be able to eat when you are hungry, exactly when you're hungry, because you have to wait, because you've got a shift, because you do have to wait for your break. But you can always honor your fullness. You can always honor your fullness. I have had enough. I'm going to stop now. Even if you're a shift worker, even if you know that you're not going to eat for another 8 hours, you can stop at enough. Okay? Because if you overeat, you are still eating beyond what is necessary. You're not just eating enough to last you a little bit longer. That's not how it works. You're probably still going to be hungry at the same time, but you just end up eating more. I like fasting for my spiritual cleansing as well. Beautiful. Again, if it works for you, then it works for you. I tried intermittent fasting, but I overeat. Intermittent fasting does not work for you. And that's okay. That's why you are here. That's why I have got you under my wing. And that's why we talk a lot, because if intermittent fasting doesn't work, then it doesn't work for you. How about, and I want you to try this out, following what we talked about today, right? I want you to actually practice what we talk about, starting to listen and eat when you're hungry and stopping when you've had enough, not when you're full, but when you've had enough, and watch how different it is to someone telling you that you can only eat within certain hours of the clock versus when your body needs fuel. Sheila, what happens if I want food at midnight, as I haven't not eaten a lot in the day? I mean, it's a good question. If you're hungry at midnight, you're getting up most likely in the night. If you're hungry at midnight, what did you do for dinner? Did you honor your fullness at dinner? Okay. If you're hungry at midnight, I would suggest not getting up and going to eat, because you're then going to wake up in the middle of the night, as we've discussed. Sheila, waking up and doing something in the middle of the night is going to massively impact your sleep, your circadian rhythm, regardless of whether it's eating or going to the fridge. Now, often if we wake up in the middle of the night, folks, it is probably because ghrelin is being released, because you're actually overtired. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night and being hungry, it is actually a huge sign that you are sleep deprived, that you are fatigued, which means that you need to start getting into a better sleep routine, start sleeping for about 8 hours a day. And when you wake up and it's breakfast time, okay, let's not use that word anymore, but when you wake up in the morning, you can then eat. But eating in the middle of the night, I highly don't recommend it. It's most likely because ghrelin is being released, which is a hunger hormone, and that is prompting you to eat when actually you are tired. It is in the middle of the night, it is sleep time, it is nighttime. You're super fatigued and tired because you're waking up, because you're not sleeping all the way through. And for those of you who might think that I'm just assuming, Sheila's actually a client, and I know that Sheila struggles to sleep all the way through. So she's waking up in the middle of the night, her brain is going, holy shit, I am so tired. Let's eat. Let's eat. I think that's the right thing that we should do. That is not the right thing that you should be doing. But when you wake up, have breakfast if you're hungry. Go for it. Go for it. But don't start fridge raiding in the middle of the night. That is a strong sign that ghrelin is being released because you're super fatigued and super tired. Yeah, in the middle of the night, not a good idea. So hard to swallow because I get bombarded on social media. Okay, here we go, So hard to swallow because I get bombarded on social media. Fast, fast, fast. I've been trying for years. Lose, gain, lose again. Lose, gain, lose, gain, lose, gain. I know. I only realize now that it's not working. Well, there you go. Better late than never, my darling. Better late than never. And I'm glad that it's like something's actually started settling and you're going, hang on a minute, this is not working. I'm going to tell you a quick thing about social media is if you have followed someone who talks about fasting a lot, and then you end up spending 1 extra second on another fasting video because it's something that you're interested in, Facebook and Instagram are automatically going to start showing you more fasting stuff. I can tell you this, and I can 100% guarantee you this, because as soon as I thought that I had ADHD, suddenly every single thing on my phone was telling me I had ADHD. Now, me and my partner have practiced it. I literally whispered to the phone, babies, 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 and, as a joke, before you say anything. And the next thing that comes up is it's baby cots, baby this, baby that. Your phone literally listens to you, but also my point here is if you spend 1 extra second on a fasting video one time and then another time, it's going to start telling you and showing content. Now, I can assure you that there is so much more content out there that doesn't tell you to fast, but that tells you to do other things. There's more content out there that tells you probably to do a keto diet look, my phone's going to start coming up with keto crap now. There's probably more content on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook, wherever you're at, that tells you to do something else. But because you've spent a second a little bit longer than probably normal on a fasting video, it throws up another fasting video. Because that catches your attention, you watch it a little bit longer, it's throwing you up another one. So yes, social media is actually choosing what it puts in front of you. So just bear in mind, and this is exactly the same as TV adverts, it's the same as like billboard adverts, it's the same as radio stations, it's the same as sports stations. If you ever watch any of that, you'll notice that there's constantly food coming up. Or maybe like the other day, like I said to you about the packet of crisps, I could not stop craving a packet of crisps because that advert came up a couple of times. They emphasized the bite, the crunch of the crisps or the potato chips, depending on where you're from. So just bear in mind that social media, adverts and stuff are feeding you with information, and to look internally. Fasting, if it doesn't work for you, don't try it. This, listening to your hunger, listening to your fullness cues and dialing it in and becoming a goddamn professional is gonna be the best way that you can listen to your body. Okay. Welcome along, Amanda. Sorry, it's a bit late if you joined a while ago. Yeah, I was writing as you spoke. Yes, I'm definitely going to listen attentively and eat till enough. You're welcome. And if you got hungry by talking about all this food, wait 10 minutes after the video and only if you're still hungry. Yes, Senior, you know it. Another way to actually, on that note, I need to bring a bottle of water with me tomorrow. On this note, if you feel like you're unsure if you're hungry, drink a big glass of water. And yes, I know it's so cliche. If you think you're hungry, drink water. But it's so important to start distinguishing real hunger to fake hunger. And the water will subside this fake hunger. And if you're actually still hungry, you will still feel the hunger symptoms and the hunger cues through and straight after the glass of water. If not, that hunger will probably subside for about 20 minutes until your body actually kicks up those hunger cues again. So then, if anything, you're just kind of saying to your body with that glass of water, are you sure you're hungry? Here's some water, tell me in a minute. So yeah, if you're actually not entirely sure if you're hungry, drink that large glass of water and that will definitely help. If anything, it will subside the hunger for a little bit. So you can always kind of push it out a little bit if you've not got your break time, or if you know that you can't eat for a short while. I love what you're saying. It makes so much sense. Thank you, Lisa. I need to hear it and internalize it. I see myself in many of your examples. That is because we are all the same. I promise you, darling, we are all the same. We all have the same issues. We all think that we are the only people struggling with this, but I can assure you, there are so many people out there that struggle with the same thing. You know, I used to have the feelings of, I just can't stop. I'm just always hungry. I'm just always fridge raiding. I'm just always cupboard raiding. I'm just always eating junk food. I used to have those, right? And I know so many other people that say the same and think the same. All of my clients, they're like, oh yeah, but I'm just really hungry. I'm like, no, like everyone thinks that they are just really hungry. We all think that we're snowflakes and individual, but at the same time, we're not. Everyone is very similar in that sense, and you're not alone. And that's the benefit of having the women's plant-based weight loss group, is there's so many people in there, and I guarantee you everyone's going through the same thing. Maybe I should kind of say it. If you're experiencing this, then put your hand up more often so we can see that we're not alone. Lisa, if you see a lot of my examples in you, I want you to come on into my DMs, type in the word clarity, and we can jump on a free call, and I'm going to get you to where you need to go, give you the next 3 steps, if anything. Okay. Yes, this phone spies on us. Yeah, the phones spy on us. We said frog with pants and got AliExpress ad of a product exactly that. There you go. See, there you go. It's like ChatGPT, whatever it is now. You put it in there, you say what you want, and then suddenly it's everywhere, all over your Facebook. Brainwashing by the advertisers. Yep, Zinnia, good that you mentioned drinking water. I still forget sometimes to drink. Okay, there's one thing you're going to take away from this is please drink more water, all of you. All right, that is the live. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, type in resource and I will flick over the hunger and fullness scales with the cues on there. I want you to print that off, label what it feels like for you at every individual stage, so you can start debunking your own internal hunger and fullness cues to minimize emotional eating. As soon as you start recognizing what this feels like in your body, you can then eradicate emotional eating, because you know when you're full, you know when you're hungry, you know when you've had enough. That is just the first step, guys. The next step is tomorrow. You've learned when and how today. I'm going to tell you what and why tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to help again eradicate and take away the emotional eating element for its own reasons, right? If you're eating the right foods, you're not going to be malnourished. You're going to feel full up. You're not going to need to emotional eat because you're already eaten enough and of the right foods. So if you emotional eat, you can't miss tomorrow's session. And then what ties it all together is the emotional internal stuff, okay? And that is Wednesday. You can't just take this or just tomorrow or just today and tomorrow and not take the third day. This 3-part workshop is 3 parts for a reason. And I want you to come tomorrow and Wednesday, and it will tie it all together and create one big, not big, one small little project for you to work on, so you can eradicate emotional eating and lose weight, regardless of who you are, what your symptoms are, what your issues are, how old you are. If you can apply all of this, you're going to lose weight. Okay. I'm Bianca Jane. I'm that plant-based weight loss coach. Thank you so much for joining me for part 1. I will see you at the same time for part 2 tomorrow. If you want the resource, comment resource. If you want some clarity on where the hell to go next, comment clarity or DM me. See you later.